Even if you have crazy game knowledge and make the best decisions throughout a game, there always gonna come a time where only one thing matters. Did you hit your shots? What's going on, guys? It's your motivation guy, Keith Allen, and today I'm so excited to help you guys on the path to getting insane aim. But look, man, it's not gonna happen overnight. But I know if you apply what we talk about here today and you guys stay committed, you're gonna see massive improvements in your aim and in your game. Are you guys ready for this? Let's get this going. All right, guys, so the first thing we have to cover is your mouse sensitivity. All right, so we all know, this is the oldest discussion when talking about aim, and for good reason. Sensitivity is at the core of everything you do in-game. So if you have too high or too low of a sense, it will throw you off. Now, I'm not going to tell you just to copy settings from the pros, as mouse sense is a very personalized thing. And so with that being said, you should take a close look at your play when deciding if your mouse sensitivity needs an adjustment. Do you find yourself overcorrecting in gunfights or being unable to accurately track targets at longer ranges? You may need to turn your sense down. Do you have a hard time keeping close range enemies in your crosshairs as they're jumping and sliding around? Well, sometimes we all do, but maybe you need to raise your sense a bit. So keep in mind that generally the higher sensitivity is, the more responsive you can be, but the more room it leaves for errors. You tend to notice having too high of a sense in long-range gunfights where you're tracking smaller targets, and you notice it being too low during close-range hectic fights. While you shouldn't copy pro mouse settings blindly, using them as a template for improving your play is a great way to make sure you aren't handicapping yourself. For example, most pros sit between 400 and 800 DPI and between 1 and 2.5 mouse sensitivity. These ranges help them to be lethal at long range while having a high enough sense to pull off fast, close range fights. And so with this in mind, if you find yourself to be very far outside these values, it's probably a good idea to consider switching up your sense if you're having trouble. All right, guys, so now that you're dialed into a sensitivity that you're going to stick with, it's time to get to work. All right, so while playing a ton of games will improve you as a player, breaking down your game into pieces that you can practice on their own is crucial. And so there are parts of your game that should be practiced beyond just playing, and mastering those fundamentals will make you a truly great player. You want to learn the fundamentals of aiming and know everything that will affect your aim so you can focus on the game. So the more confident you are in your play and the more knowledge you have about all the factors that can affect your aim, the more calm you're going to be in fights and the better aim you will have. So if you are a newer player struggling with your aim but are still learning the game, don't sweat it. Apex has a lot going on in a match, and when you're first starting out, it's going to be a lot to take in. You're going to see your aim improve as your game knowledge does, simply because you won't have so much on your mind at once. And so with that being said, guys, putting an early focus on your aim and becoming confident in your shot will give you a big head start. The best players like Shiv, FPS, and Snipe Down are able to stay calm and collected during hectic fights, and it really shows in their aim and precision. The amount of practice they have with their weapons lets them focus on the game. Their instincts taking over to hit their shots. And so as you practice these weapons, you're going to be able to do just this, focusing more on the game and less on what weapon you're using and how to control it. When it becomes second nature to take down an enemy with an RE45 you grabbed on drop, you know you're well on your way. And so this is where the training comes in, and the firing range is the perfect place to start. So every single one of us should be using the firing range more, as the time you spend here is priceless. It allows you to get a feel for how every aspect of the game affects your aim and get the reps that you need to consistently hit your shots without thinking. One way to do just that is to ensure good crosshair placement. It's easy to get caught looking around at the scenery of all the beautiful maps, but you should really have your crosshair around head level at all times. If you use the firing range to get used to centering your screen at the height of an enemy's head, then you will always be close to your target should you be caught by surprise. If you can help it, you want your crosshair never to be far from your opponent when they're coming into view. And so by always being prepared to fire, you give yourself the upper hand before even starting a gunfight. So with the firing range giving you access to all the weapons, be sure to spend time practicing with all of them, even ones that aren't really your favorite. Regardless of the ammo type, recoil pattern, or iron sights, you should get enough reps with the weapons that you feel comfortable with if you have to pick them up. Each gun with the same type of ammo is going to have a similar feel. So once you get one down, it's going to help you learn the rest. Each ammo type behaves differently, and so you're gonna have to adapt your aim for each. Okay, so light ammo weapons have the fastest fire rate in their class, but have lower damage. Heavy ammo has high damage at the cost of fire rate and more bullet drop. And energy weapons tend to have good damage and long range with lower fire rates. These three ammo types find their way into almost every loadout, due to all the ARs, SMGs, and LMGs being in this group. Because of this, they tend to be the weapons where being able to track enemies on the move, while ADSing becomes very useful. So, getting practice time, learning the recoil patterns and bullet drop of these weapons before getting into the game is huge. Remember guys, a lot of this comes from repetition. You have to get a real feel for these guns and their ammo so that, when you're trying to beam an octane sprinting at long range, it's second nature how much bullet drop and recoil your mouse needs to be accounting for. That way, you can focus on hitting that speedy daredevil in the distance. Shotguns, snipers, the bow check, and even the wingman have a similar learning curve in terms of recoil and bullet drop. However, these weapons are a single shot, packing more of a punch into each hit. Due to this, they're just much more about quickly snapping onto targets to get shots off. And so with the lower rate of fire, the accuracy of your shots is that much more important. You then look to ADS and then snap your target and off them again, repeating this process as fast as your rate of fire. Weapons like the Peacekeeper and the bow check are just great examples that use this aiming method really well. This trick varies widely based on which of these weapons you're using, so be sure to practice with them all. Alright, so one of my favorite weapons for this is the Peacekeeper. It just has a slower rate of fire, so it just lets me add in a bit of movement or just gives me enough time to properly snap back into my target before the next shot. So always make sure to fire as soon as a new shot becomes available, as you don't want to miss out on valuable damage output. Now, I know you probably want to hop right into range when you get on the game, but you should really be getting in the firing range for like 5 to 10 minutes beforehand. Arguably, the best use for the firing range is for warming up. And doing so every day when you get on will help you continue to get a feel for all those different weapons like we talked about. And so, more importantly, it also just keeps you in the right mindset, having you focus on the fundamentals before hopping into a hectic game. Not to mention, you're just gonna play better. Trust me guys, if you hop into the firing range for 10 minutes every day before you play, you're gonna get rid of those warm-up games and improve every day because of it. As long as you're just getting your shots off on target, it's gonna help you. But consider building a routine for yourself. Maybe you have a rotation of guns you go through, or you have a few weapon types you're trying to get better at, so you focus on those. Whatever you do with your warm-up time is on you, just make sure to actually do it. Okay, so here's a suggestion. If you have a buddy on while warming up, utilize the 1v1 rock in the center of the firing range. You can line up on either side of this rock, toggle friendly fire on, and you have a great way to practice your gunfights. If you both have the time, practice going through each weapon, 1v1ing each other. Be sure to put a focus on your aim and crosshair placement, always peeking for shots with your crosshair ready to fire. And so this can give you a ton of practice in fights with the guns very quickly and allows you to be critical of your mechanics in the moment without worrying about losing an actual game. So all of this practice lays out a path to improving your aim, but it's going to take time. Practicing good crosshair placement will help you be prepared for fights and centered for shots right away. Additionally, being practiced on each weapon will help you enter fights with confidence and remain calm, a key factor to having good aim. If you panic or you're stressed while taking a fight with an enemy squad, your aim is going to suffer and you're going to lose more gunfights. However, the practice will pay off, and as you put in the time, you're going to find yourself calming under pressure, hitting more shots, and winning more games. Aiming is one of the biggest factors to success in Apex Legends, so we got to make sure that we give it the practice it's due. The only way to improve is working on your craft and approaching every game with the mindset of improvement. And so take what we discussed today, guys, apply it, and your aim will improve in no time. If you guys liked the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to connect with me on my Instagram, you can so at Your Motivation Guy. Keep grinding, never quit. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.